All right, hear me out. I think the chances of seeing a heavier snow are increasing across the central and eastern U.S. heading into the first couple of weeks of January. I feel more confident about that today than I even felt yesterday. That's why I'm doing an update video here. I think it's important to cover it. Now, before you get into this and go, no one knows what it's going to do on January 6th, I will 100% agree with you, and I'll go down fighting with you, agreeing with you on that. However, I do want to talk about the trends that we're seeing today, and I think we've been seeing this over the last couple of days. So pay attention to the weather as we head into January. I think there's going to be some big changes on the way. All right, I am also going to say you're probably going to see these maps unfiltered floating around the internet, the European, the GFS, right? Each of them tell a totally different story. I'm not actually interested in where it's placing the snow just yet, not even close. I want to know, is there even going to be a storm, first of all? Then we'll figure out where it goes. And I'm going to talk about in this video today the pattern that is starting to develop. Hey guys, thanks for watching the video today. I'm Travis. I used to be a chief meteorologist on television. For those of you who are brand new here to the channel, I've been out of that business for years, but I find myself looking at these kind of things, and I decided to start making YouTube videos about it because once you're a meteorologist, you're always a meteorologist and you're just constantly thinking about it. So, hey, if you want to share in the fun, especially as we go through the winter, wild, crazy things, that's what we're going to talk about on this channel. So subscribe and come back. All right, let's hop into it first. This is this afternoon's European run. It's printing a snowstorm right in the east. It brings it up into the Carolinas, heavy snow into the Appalachians, into the Northeast with another slider system, if you will, moving out into the plains. I want to pop over to last night's run of the European because check it out. If you were looking at this, it's nothing like what we're seeing, but you do have something forming, some kind of storm showing up on the operational runs. These are going to go all over the place. People always get surprised and when they see these runs and go, oh, well, it looks different. It changed. I promise you, this will change. This is only being used for guidance. Take a look at the GFS. Yes, they will be drastically different because they use different parameters. They operate at different levels, but each of them have their own strengths. I think the GFS is prone to feedback issues at this far out, and that's why we're getting the big snowstorm over Texas. But the idea that it's showing it is super interesting. Take a look at today's midday run of the GFS. Much different, right? But you still had a decent snow trying to form here. Doesn't look nearly as aggressive, but if you went back to yesterday's run, yeah, not so much. We are starting to see some things on the ensembles too. The ensembles use a variety of parameters and starting points and different equations, if you will, to figure out what's going to happen. And guys, think about this. We're looking really far down the road. So if one of your parameters or starting points are off by just a little bit, doesn't it make sense? Like if you're shooting down a 100-yard football field with a bow and arrow, if you're off by, say, a quarter of an inch, by the time that arrow travels 100 yards, you're going to be off quite a bit. You math nerds could probably calculate how much you would be off by if you moved your arrow over a little bit, maybe an inch or so. But yeah, the further out you go, the more errors there are. But the ensembles give us an idea of those differences that we're seeing. And look, there's an idea of one of the members showing snow. There's another one. There's another one. This one has snow into Arkansas and Texas. So you get all these multiple members and they average out to something like this. This doesn't look like what we just saw, right? So these are flattening everything out, and I want to show you what I'm looking at. This is today's run. So the first thing you do is probably find where you live, wherever you live in Oklahoma or Indianapolis, Columbus, northeast into Syracuse, up into Madison or Milwaukee, wherever you live, and you're going, oh, we're only going to get 2 or 3 inches of snow. I don't look at this to really measure the snow. I want to see the trends, and this is where we are today. Look at where we were yesterday. Maybe not a big jump, but we're definitely seeing a little more snow compared yesterday to today. And it's a little bit more further south. It's not a lot. Some of you may say, oh, it actually went down in my area. Well, maybe it did. But I think overall, there was a little more snow here across the United States. It's a different pattern than what we're in right now. We've got this northwest flow pattern that's just keeping that polar air moving into the central and eastern U.S. That will change as we head through this week. We're going to warm up, and then we're really going to cool down. And that's going to set the stage, I think, for that snowstorm as we head into January. Now, look at all this Pacific maritime air, if you will, just invading Canada, warming us up across the country. It's going to be pretty cold, though, through the Northeast early this week, but eventually we'll start to warm up here as well. Now, as we head into next week, look at this. This is arguably probably going to be the biggest cold blast we've seen widespread across the country as we head into the first week of January. This is a lot of cold air. Now, this is even also a little bit further to the west. That matters because I think the further west you get it, the better chance of seeing something right up. Maybe this is your cold air dropping in here, and now you got a storm going this way. So the chances are increasing. That's what I'm talking about in this video. I'm not going to tell you you're going to get a foot of snow in Charlotte on January 6th. I don't know. But I do know that the trend is for it to turn much colder. These are high temperatures daily. I'm going to skip through this because look at those numbers. We're going to just show you the east because I want you to see how much colder the models are showing highs by January 5th and January 6th. So you're talking about barely getting above freezing across a lot of the south. So it's easy to see how you could be getting some snow. And it's not just going to be here too. We've got high temperatures across the central United States on the way down from where they are now as we move out into the first week of January. There comes that cold. Not so much across the Rockies, though. I think it's going to be a little bit warmer here. Let's just see how it all plays out. But again, that pattern will flip as we head into January. And here's one of the things we're looking to. Our polar vortex, I think, is going to start to drop here into the Hudson Bay. This setup, along with some decent blocking up across Greenland, means a cold United States. And this, again, is widespread cold, not just concentrated in the east. And can you hear the chaos behind me? Hey, it's Christmas. There's nephews and nieces and kids. Yeah, you've got this trough digging in, and it's going to turn cold. And unfortunately, if you're hoping for a white Christmas, those kids that are screaming may not be as happy because in a lot of areas, we're not going to get much snow. I'm going to fast forward this out. This is not the daily forecast where we dig into everything. And by the way, I do want to highlight one thing before I go too far. There could be some severe weather, maybe on Tuesday as this system moves through Texas. Storm Prediction Center highlighting that area for some updrafts that could start to rotate as we head into the afternoon. So there could even be some tornadoes, some hail, some damaging winds, really Tuesday night into early Wednesday morning as dew points really climb up here and our wind shear starts to increase. Now, let's go back to the winter forecasting here. Again, don't track any individual storm, but I want to show you how the GFS was showing that. Our first storm likely moving through by the first and second, not a huge snowmaker. We're just setting the stage with the cold air. This is the 12Z from today, and look at this. I mean, this right here is classic. If you can get this kind of dip in the jet stream with low pressure just rapidly developing, and look, the further west it develops, this has it developing in the Gulf. This is a snowstorm right here. This would put snow into Alabama, up into East Tennessee. This would get it cold enough for snow into the Piedmont of North Carolina, back into Virginia, West Virginia, and then this would roar up into D.C. This would be one of those nor'easters that just blow the doors off. Now, if you went to last night's run, you can see not much going on. In fact, one would argue hardly any storm across the east, but you do get something moving from the plains northeast. The idea that there's a storm there is what I'm looking at. This is a look at the GFS. It also has the idea of something developing on the east side of our trough as we head toward the 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Could this disappear on the next model run? Probably so. Could it come back? It very well could. But the idea that now I've got two models here showing some kind of storm, at least on this side of the continent, gives me an idea that something could be happening around that time frame. So it's something to watch. It's something I'll be watching. Again, if you enjoy this kind of stuff, this winter tracking mayhem, this madness, if you will, because if you track every model, I promise you, if you hug every model and go, this is what's going to happen, you will go crazy. So we're not going to do that. We're going to talk about big picture things, sort of trends. The trend to me, though, is increasing across the central and eastern U.S. for something as we head into January. So if you're a snow lover, this may be what you want. If you're hoping for no snow, it's looking a little rough. That's all I'm going to say for now, because that's even going out on a limb with that. All right, the daily forecast is right here in front of my face. If you've not seen that, I invite you to come over. We're going to dig into all the forecast details for this week, including precipitation, highs, even snow totals. See you there.